All right, guys, it's episode 121. This week we're going to talk about belonging. I'm really struggling with that, so I'm hoping Dr. Carmen can give us a different perspective. But I also know a lot of us, this is not just a Kim thing. I think a lot of us struggle with feeling like that we belong. And it's an important animal instinct of ours, right? Because we are a herd animal, a tribe animal, whatever you want to call us. I like to see us as animals and we're herds. We are a herd animal, and that's how we survived, is by being a part of the herd. When we go out alone, our chances of survival decrease significantly, right? In our historical journey as humans. So that is innately built in us to be part of the tribe, to be part of a herd, to be accepted in. So I think a lot of us really struggle with that, like not feeling, because a lot of us have this innate belief system that like we're not enough, we're not worthy. For some of us that are really driven, it's like this drivenness to prove ourselves, prove our worthiness, enoughness, that we belong in the tribe, um, which can make us feel like that. Well, we don't ever feel like we're enough. We haven't proved ourselves enough. So then we just never belong. And because like I have that belief system, I'm aware of it, I don't belong. My brain is constantly looking for evidence to prove that belief is true, right? So it's always hyper vigilant. It's always evaluating other people's um, verbal response to me, their body language to me. It's observing how they interact with other humans around me, because it's constantly looking for evidence like they don't like you, you don't belong.
Right. Um, as humans, we are very social beings.
Yes.
Yeah. Um, and you're right. I think historically we have adapted because that socialness, yeah, being in that tribe has been beneficial for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as we've kind of grown up even into kind of modern day, the more that you contribute to your tribe or to your family, right? Oftentimes the more you're rewarded. So that creates this sense of, okay, yeah, I'm accepted and rewarded the more that I contribute, right? The more that I put in.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and as we get older and you move out on your own, right? Even in some work environments, it's the same thing. You get rewarded for, more that you put in. Now, some people will argue that that's not necessarily the case anymore. Sometimes that gets taken advantage of
Yeah.
in some situations in corporate world. What and I do have to say that with the help of social media, I think it's much easier now for us to find people who think alike,
Right.
right?
Right.
To help to find a community that you belong in. Now, I personally have always felt like I was different my whole life. I feel like I was even from my family, I've always had a little bit of a different perspective. Like I
Mhm.
just think differently. Um and it wasn't it didn't have a negative connotation around it. It was just the way that I perceived the world. The more experiences that I had in school and with other people, I thought, oh, and I'm a little bit of a quiet person to begin with. So I would process those things and I'd be like, okay, I would not have reacted to that situation that way, And so I always thought, oh, okay, well, I'm just different. Um, as I got older into high school, I had the opportunity to have different situations where I felt like my difference was like I got a lot of pushback, right? Because I was different. Because I kind of, yeah, I guess because I thought different.
Mhm.
And I was trying to think when you brought this topic up, what that trigger was for me that helped me not shy away from being different, and be more like confident. I did become like, by my senior year in high school, I became very confident about being different.
Yeah.
So even though I didn't feel like I belonged where I was, in the situation that I was in, I kind of felt like, you know what, I was confident in myself that I could hold my own in any situation. So even though it didn't feel like I belonged there, I could, like maneuver through, right? Like different situations, kind of what felt like a different world. Um, and I think that really being proud of myself and being proud of different, being proud to be different, um, helped me be okay with, being patient with finding a situation that I did belong in.
Okay.
Does that
Yeah.
make sense? Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to adapt to a situation or to a group of people or an environment that like I really wanted to belong in, so I'm going to adapt myself to fit in that, so that I could feel good about it. Instead, I kind of felt like I found a lot of opportunities to build that confidence and kind of believe in myself, to be like, you know what, it's okay that I'm different. um and in and I do feel like that helped me kind of get through a lot of my adulthood, actually, till I found a naturopathic community where I did belong.
Yeah.
um because it's a challenge. But I think that when we feel like we are having trouble like relating to people or how we belong, it's often our perception of what they think of us, right?
Yeah.
Versus being confident in like, okay, you know what, it's okay if you don't have the reaction that I expect. But I like have my back, and I'm confident. I believe in what I'm doing. I believe in myself. And if that person isn't the right fit, or if that person doesn't resonate with, yeah at that time I felt like a lot of people didn't resonate with me because they didn't think like me.
Mhm.
But I just kept, kind of kept going, and it worked out, that I was able to kind of be attracted to a community that really resonated with me. But it was a long road. It was a long road through college, through my master's program, through my first medical school to find it, right? But I think because I didn't waver in that, and because I became very proud of being different, that I was like, you know what? I will, um, I will, find that space that really felt like home. Like, those energies and those people that just really matched well.
Yeah. I just find human behavior and the human brain so intriguing because your brain, based on I mean, we had different parents that had different perspectives on the world,
Sure.
right? But we both came from what would you call it, a nuclear home. Wait, we both came from two parents,
Yeah.
right? Two siblings,
Yeah.
um, same area. We were raised in the same area of the country. Um, and you were the oldest,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm the oldest.
Yeah.
So, but somehow with your parents' perspective and the way your brain processed perspective, you saw being different. And I wonder if it's because your parents celebrated differences.
Probably.
Okay. So your brain saw difference as something to be proud of.
Yeah.
My family does not celebrate differences, and I was different. So it became a thing of shame,
Uh,
right? Like, um, you were wrong because you are different.
Mm.
You were difficult because you are different, right? Being different makes you difficult. Um, and I think that's how my brain then took being different and became a place of shame, a place of, I wouldn't have labeled it as shame, but I think that's probably what the root cause emotion is behind it. And I just changed it into anger. So then I became this very like confident person. I was a confident, rebellious person, right? It was like my personality was so driven. Like it just is innately different than my system that I grew up in. And it felt like a constant battle. It was me versus the world. So
Yeah.
because of that, I think my brain started saying, because I wrote down notes like, I do try to adapt to the tribe,
Yeah.
right? Instead of like you said, you didn't try to adapt to the tribe. You just patiently waited to find your tribe. And my personality was constantly trying to adapt itself to fit into this tribe. And then frustration because I don't fit into the tribe. So then that just adds to that pile of negative emotions. Um, I wasn't proud of my being different. And I was suffering. So I didn't have patience to wait to find my tribe. It's just constantly like, I don't belong here. I don't belong here. Next tribe, I don't belong here. Next tribe, I don't belong here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's so interesting how our brains just went two very different directions.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that it it is interesting. Um when we when you constantly get that um I don't know what the word for that is, but that it's the opposite of reassurance. You constantly get that, okay, this isn't my tribe. This isn't, a group of folks that I resonate with, right? Like you keep getting that over that, whatever the word for that is. It can be really disheartening.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong. When I was in college and even in my master's program, yeah, there were times where it was very challenging for me. So, it wasn't always like, oh yeah, I'm gonna just hold out. But I knew, when I would hang out with other classmates or with, yeah, friends that um we didn't click, right? We
Yeah.
just didn't weren't on the
Story of
same.
my life.
That's what I said. I was like, we're just weren't on the same page. I mean, there are times where like who were situational, like we would go out and I would try to fit in. That's where kind of that people pleasing came around. But deep down, I knew, okay, when the situation is over, yeah, I'm not doing this again. I'm not going onto these events with you anymore, so I was a little bit stubborn in that sense, that I felt like there was something bigger out there, right? That there was a community that I would belong to. I was like, I know that we are all unique, and from my perspective, amazing individuals, but I also feel like I can't be the only one that thinks like this.
Right. Yeah.
And so it took time. It took years, decades to find that community that really kind of resonated, that I resonated with, where I kind of felt like I belong. And then, to be honest, I didn't stay in Arizona, right? I found that community, and what it did for me, it definitely created a lot of lifelong friendships and people, that I talk to often and hang out with online, but it really just kind of like refilled my cup and like re-cemented that it was okay to be different, and gave me the sort of that confidence to move back to Oklahoma and like be the only one again. you know
Yeah.
um but yes, yeah. So I think it is a lot of kind of transitions throughout our life, but it's I feel like belonging, feel that sense of belonging starts with us, right?
Yeah.
Like starts with us internally. And looking and doing that work and looking, of not what can I change, or like what can I do to make people like me or to fit in, or to resonate with more folks, or to find that tribe, but to really truly look and say, what do I want, right? Like what do I need, what am I looking for, that would help to um uh that would help to like put that icing on the cake,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like, oh, this is the piece I've been missing my whole life. I don't think that's what belonging's about. I think it's about an opportunity or an opportunity with people, a group of people, a tribe, a gathering, where you push each other limits to be better, right? You
Yeah.
get to be a better version of yourself,
Mhm.
when you find that. Yeah.
It's interesting as I listening to you, that's what I love about coaching. It's like being vulnerable, seeing your own thoughts and beliefs, seeing how they impact you, getting a different perspective from your coach. So then your brain can decide, does this jive, right? And it's like what I'm hearing you say is like, when we find our tribe, when we belong, I think some of us have, for me, an expectation like, I'll finally feel um at peace. I'll finally feel accepted and seen and heard. And I think there's this expectation that I can finally rest.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing you, and I'm like, she's saying, like, oh no, no, you'll just find people that kind of resonate with you, that'll challenge you, but because it's an internal game, right? It's like the work is for me to basically be confident, proud of my differences, so that I can accept me and I can feel like I belong. I decide that I belong. And then when I find that tribe, it's just like, it's not such a heavy expectation to finally feel complete and seen and heard. It's like, I've done the work and I have made myself complete. I have been seen by me and heard by me, right? I just find a tribe that like thinks similar to me, challenge me. That is actually what belonging is, not feeling whole and complete. And does that make sense?
Yes, I think that from my perspective, that's hitting the nail on the head. Yeah.
Okay.
Is
And
that it starts with you as the individual.
yeah.
Yeah. And then that tribe, yeah, I mean, yeah, adds to your situation, right? In different shapes and forms, but yeah, I think it starts with us as individuals.
Yeah. And I tell my clients, like, belonging is a mindset thing. Sometimes it's easier to give advice and take it. It's a
True.
mindset thing. And we have to decide that we belong.
Yeah.
We're never going to get permission, like, oh, you belong here. Like, we decide we belong in whatever room we enter into.
Yeah.
Because when we decide that we don't belong into whatever room we enter into, that is going to be the results that we find. Our brain's going to give us results that we don't belong there, versus believing we do belong there. And then the brain's going to go find evidence to prove that we do belong there.
True. Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's I mean, just like anything else, right? It's a constant, I still feel like I still need constant reminders, right? When I go into situations, or if I go, like to an event, or like I'm speaking to a group of people, and I'm like, oh gosh. And if it's an event that I know, like, I think like-minded people should be there, and that's like, oh, this is like my opportunity to meet new people, but if I don't go in being, a little bit more sure of myself, I think that energy that I put out, right? I mean, I think it does attract other like-minded, right, similar energies.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I do think that that's something that we constantly kind of check in about, on a regular basis, or if you're getting like, in new environments or new situations.
Yeah. 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 That's interesting, because I do have this belief that I am, it's like kind of diving into the psyche of Ken. I am different. I'm intense. I'm a pretty, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong. You know me really well. I feel my perception of me is that, and some of it has been influenced by other people's comments, to be honest with you, is that I am intense. I'm very serious, very I guess assertive aggressive. And that is too intimidating for other people. But then I have the resistance, like, no, that's who I am, and I'm not changing that. But then it also tells me, like, that's why you don't belong. That's why people don't like you or want to invite you into their space, is because you are too much of these things. You need to be more laid back. You need to be more bubbly, if you will, I guess. Like, I don't know. Yeah. Like the cheerleader type or something. Like, you need to be a person that likes to have superficial conversations and laughs and just is laid back. And it's like, I don't even know how to access that part of me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what I would say to that. Yes, sometimes you can be a little bit intense. I don't see what word did you like, the aggressive,
Aggressive.
assertive. I don't see that. I mean, I see assertiveness,
Yeah.
which I value. So I don't see those things as a negative thing,
Yeah.
right? Like, I value those things. So but what I would also say to that is, those folks who are making those comments in those situations, they don't resonate with you.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's okay, right? The world, I tell folks, I mean, the world is made up out of all walks of life, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's so many different types of folks in this world that kind of make the world go round, right? And we are not going to resonate with 100% of them. It's just not going to happen. Yeah, it's not. Maybe if you were a people pleaser, you could like resonate with, maybe like a large percentage of them, or at least pieces of them. But that's not who you are, right? That's who we're not trying to be.
Right.
That's not healthy, right? And so yeah, I mean, this is my perspective, but I think that those descriptors of you and your personality are things to celebrate. Those are your strengths, right? I don't think those are weaknesses, but that's what makes you, I mean, that's what makes you different, right? And I feel like, people who resonate with that, that is what's going to create a tribe and where, we belong.
Yeah.
And so I get it, especially on social media. It's hard. I think anytime we get like criticism, right? Or if somebody has negative comments about that, about us or our situation or how we do things, or and I think our mind has a tendency to hold on to that, especially like we've talked about imposter syndrome, especially if it's like, okay, if I have a little bit of insecurity somewhere, which I don't, maybe it's just me, but I feel like we all have some level of insecurity.
We do.
And those folks who make negative comments play into that.
Yes.
I think the challenge is to let that snowball. Be like, you know what? Those are, that is that person's opinion, and that's okay. Maybe it's beneficial that they recognize that early, because like, oh, I don't want to work with people who don't resonate with me.
Right.
It's gonna be a much harder uphill battle if I'm trying to work with people who don't resonate and aren't kind of who don't come from the same place thought wise.
Yeah.
And so I think sometimes we have to work on, and this is okay, so sometimes we have to work on our inner shields. Okay. So, and maybe this is part of where some of this came from for me, but when we were younger in middle school and we facilitated all these different workshops, one of the activities we did was called a Shield of Honor, right? In this program, which was Native American Youth for Native American Youth, we did Shields of Honor. And on this shield, it was one of those ice-breaking activities where you visit with somebody for like a minute or 3 minutes, and then you write down a minute. Then you write down 3 positive things that you thought about them in that minute. Then you go to the next person, and you just go down the line. At the end of the activity, everybody has a little sheet of paper that has all these positive descriptors about them. And then we pinned it on their shirts, and then all day you wore your Shields of Honor, right? I think in situations like this, creating that Shield of Honor and having it visible, right? To me, it's a little bit different than affirmations, but complimenting ourselves, right? The things that we are proud of, I think that can outweigh a lot of those negative, or maybe they're not negative comments, but maybe the way that we interpret them could be negative. That might be a way to help to embrace that difference and to embrace that difference.
I think the only reason that air quotes negative comments are painful for us is because there's a part of us that believe that it's true. So it's just hitting a nerve, right? Because if they say something that we don't believe is true about us, like if somebody was like, Kim, you're such a people pleaser, I totally wouldn't be offended. I would be like, that's the farthest thing from truth that existed. Right. But when they say stuff like a human this week told me I was too direct, it hit a nerve, right? Because there's a belief in there that I'm ashamed about, is like I'm too direct. All right. So
we've also, so another perspectives, we've also talked about I can also tell when I'm tired and stressed, my brain doesn't work very well. It's not called transference.
Projection.
Thank you. That could also be that person projecting on you that you're too direct because of some of the things that they're going through.
I evaluating it. the things that I am trigger that person, and it's about them.
Yeah.
But their comments are also hitting wounds inside of me, that my shadow, part of my shadow side that I haven't accepted, right? Like, yeah, I am. What is wrong with being too direct? I'm sorry, right? Like, if I was to be in the truth, like, oh, being honest is a bad thing. Like, too honest is a bad thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd much rather you lie to me a little bit. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Anything else on belonging? I think this is a good topic. I think a lot of people struggle with this.
I think I know that people do. It's such a common, yeah, thing, and it's hard if you kind of feel like you're an island out there all by yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think, yeah, sharing our experiences and sharing, where to start with doing that work, to help to, yeah, identify and find ways, to, like, yeah, be confident and be proud of yourself and love yourself,
Mhm.
to help with that process.
Yeah. And that's also, I mean, I want to plug our program. That is the work that we do in New Beginnings program, right? Like, that's what we could, that's to achieve our dreams and goals, which is a program I feel like is meant, like, it's to help people actually obtain dreams and goals in their life and give them the tools and the skill sets to repeat that over and over so they can create this amazing life. Like, that is the foundational work that we do in there, is how to heal your relationship with you, right? So you can have your own back, so you can be confident, so you can have rejection resilience, right? Like, that is the work that we do in the New Beginnings program together. So yeah, join us. It's an amazing program. It creates amazing results. Like, we have case study after case study, and just so many clients with so many testimonials of, like, this, in 8 months my life has completely changed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, if you don't have anything else, let's talk about fall break. This is the last week before our launch date on Monday the 3rd.
Yes.
So what do you want to tell the humans about fall break for adults? What are you
So
excited
come,
about it?
join us for fall break. So this is an online virtual event. It's our fall retreat, a retreat kind of away from stress.
Yes.
It is a online program. We are offering classes that we're teaching. We're going to have live coaching. I'm going to teach a class on stress and inflammation and hormones. We're collaborating with some other practitioners to share a yoga class and breath work and sound healing, to give you guys a little bit of a taste of different tools you can use, yeah, in everyday life. It's a la carte event, so you can pick and choose. You don't have to go to all the classes, but you can kind of pick and choose what resonates with you, what sounds fun, exciting, what you'd like to learn, and an opportunity to build community and ask questions.
Yeah. Yeah. So the link will be in the show notes. You can also find it on social media, or if you're on our email list, it's in our emails. So Dr. Carmen's email list, you'll just go to drcarmenjones.com, join her email list, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or Kimberly Jarman Coaching. And in the contact me, you can just say, hey, I'm interested in this. And then you'll be on my email list and you can get the email about it too.
Yeah. Perfect.
Cool. All right. Thanks, friend. Remember, you get to choose where you belong and decide that you belong wherever you choose.